Japan has been marking a tragic anniversary this week. 70 years ago on Thursday, an atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, and then 3 days later, another on Nagasaki. Thousands gathered this morning in Nagasaki Peace Park for a solemn ceremony. As the bell tolled, the crowds observed a minute's silence at the exact time when US forces dropped the warhead on the city. And on Thursday, thousands of paper lanterns were released on Hiroshima's main river in remembrance of the victims there. After the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan surrendered in World War II, having lost hundreds of thousands of lives. After the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, 60% of the city's built-up area was completely destroyed. You can see clearly the scale of the devastation on these satellite images taken before and after the blast. Well, we also spoke to the grandson of the man who ordered the nuclear bombings, President Harry Truman. Daniel Truman says he doubts the US will ever apologize for the bombings.
Like most Americans born in that time and growing up after the war, the bombs were a great thing. They ended the war, they saved hundreds of thousands of lives on both sides, and that's what my grandfather always said was his reason for the decision, to end the war and save American lives primarily that would otherwise likely be lost in an invasion of the main islands. So I went from not giving it much thought at all to being confronted one day with the reality that people lost their lives and in horrible ways. It doesn't feel at this point that it will ever be a flat-out apology from the U.S. to Japan, or the other way around. I don't know that the United States has ever asked Japan for an apology for Pearl Harbor, or that they've offered it.
Well, that was part of our documentary Atomic Message, which we'll be airing throughout the day. It also contains first-hand accounts from Hiroshima and Nagasaki survivors. In fact, we're going to show one of those now, but a warning, some of the images coming up are upsetting.
16歳でね、爆心地から約2キロですね。2キロのところを自転車で走っていて、後ろから焼かれました。私は被爆してから3年7ヶ月のね、病院で生活しました。1年9ヶ月はうつ伏せの中、うつ伏せのままでね、それで過ごしました。背中のね、焼けて、腐って流っちまって、骨まで焼けてる。ところで骨まで腐ってしまって、その骨が変形してね、今、心臓と肺の中にめり込んでいて、そして今苦しんでる。
Well, according to the latest Pew Research poll, more than half of US respondents believe the dropping of the atomic bombs was justified. Only 34% disagree. RT's Guy Chichikan gauged public opinion in Washington, D.C.
The U.S. should apologize for dropping the bombs on the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Why do you ask?
Yeah.
The anniversary, it's the anniversary, yes.
No, I wouldn't say I would apologize or think they should apologize, no.
Why?
It was what we had to do to, I guess, show our presence and end the war.
I think that the war's been over and it's in the past, so I'm not going to dwell on the past. I'm just happy that the U.S. and Japan have a really great relationship right now, though.
What did they tell you at school about the atomic bomb?
They didn't tell me about nothing about that.
About the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, nothing?
No, they didn't tell us about that.
How old are you?
17.
I don't think it was just, but I think that it was necessary. Not in the terms of to stop a war, but to actually see what the bomb would do.
You think it was necessary to deliberately kill 140,000 people to test the bomb?
Well, has another bomb been dropped since?
Well, as you heard there, many feel the bombings were needed to ensure victory in the Second World War. Kate Hudson from the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament says that argument just doesn't hold water.
I think it was a war crime of the most terrible proportions. Japan did not have nuclear weapons, yet two of its cities, not even its military installations, two of its cities with big civilian populations were bombed and hundreds of thousands of people died as a result. Now people say, well, we had to do that to end the war, but that's based on a falsehood as well. It's well known that in the early 1945, Japan was trying to surrender. Their only condition was that the emperor should retain his status and not lose face. As the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War at that time, Stimson in the United States said, he said the atom bomb was the MasterCard in US diplomacy. I mean, what a terrible way to approach the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. It's a MasterCard in US diplomacy. That's the reality. It wasn't needed to end the war.
Well, following the horrors of the nuclear attacks, world powers embarked on an arms race. Eli Petrenko reminds us.
Tens of thousands killed in an instant in the Hiroshima nuclear attack. Instead of sending mankind a signal to stop, it started the doomsday clock and potentially the deadliest arms race in history. By 1952, the U.S. had built a bomb about 700 times more powerful than the little boy dropped on Hiroshima. In less than 10 years, the world saw its most devastating nuclear test, this time by the Soviet Union, some 5,000 times the strength of Hiroshima. From then on, it was more about quantity than quality. In the 70s, the superpowers roughly evened up with 25,000 nuclear warheads each. Bunkers, shelters, video survival tutorials. The fear of getting zapped by nukes became the hallmark of an era.
He did what we all must learn to do. You and you and you and you. Yup. And cover.
The 80s gave our planet a chance to breathe a sigh of relief with the first nuclear disarmament agreements. Last month, America tested an upgraded version of the B-6112 bomb that's been on the spearhead of the U.S. nuclear arsenal ever since the 60s. Good thing it was carried out without a warhead attached.
The claim that nuclear weapons are becoming obsolete is starting to appear less credible. We have the United States now preparing to spend up to $1 trillion over the next 30 years. So it's a dangerous situation.
But as the bell tolls 70 years on, there will be those that hope the tragedy of Hiroshima finally ends the arms race.